It's pretty convenient, isn't it? Pretty convenient for Trump and this administration at this tragedy that went down. This tragedy that went down in Venezuela. Here's the initial report, and we're gonna break this thing down and tell you why this is 100% BS what they're telling us on mainstream right now.
Welcome back and Alive Now from Fox. I'm your host, Anna Marsick. We continue following the devastating earthquakes that happened in Venezuela this week. Take a look at this post coming from Reuters saying rescue teams and residents search for survivors in Venezuela as the death toll from the twin earthquakes surpassed 900, with hundreds believed to be trapped. That update came this morning, and the latest update coming into our newsroom right now, we're learning that more than 1,400 people have been killed. Thousands have been injured. There's still at least 68,000 people missing, and crews are just racing to find anybody still trapped beneath that rubble. International help continues to pour in, with more than 1,600 foreign rescue personnel now on the ground from dozens of countries. The United States has pledged $150 million in humanitarian assistance and deployed search and rescue teams. Governments and aid organizations from around the world, they're sending medical supplies, equipment, and emergency relief to support this massive recovery effort. And as these emergency crews continue their work, scientists are learning more about what made these earthquakes just so unusual. What was first believed to be a foreshock, followed by a larger main earthquake, is actually now being classified as a rare earthquake doublet, which is two major earthquakes happening just seconds apart. So to help us break down
to help us spin this, let's bring in an expert to tell us what a doublet is and how this is totally normal, totally cool, all good.
All of this means we are joined by Harold Tobin, who is the director of the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. Thanks so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox.
Thank you for having me.
Certainly. So the big story now, of course, is that scientists are classifying this as that historic doublet earthquake. What made this sequence a doublet, and how did scientists ultimately determine what happened?
Yeah, the lines are very complicated in that region, but what was...
I thought he was saying line like he forgot the script. That's funny. But yeah, tell us how science is gonna determine this so we don't ask any more questions.
Seen in the seismology was just that there was a pulse of energy, a kind of a pause, and then a second pulse of energy, all within, about 40 seconds of each other in terms of the onset. The actual shaking lasted longer. So it's classified as a doublet. I'm sure that people who actually experienced the earthquake on the ground in Venezuela would have felt it as one long drawn out earthquake.
Well, that's not what happened. There was
Welcome back.
That was not what happened. They had 36 to 38 seconds in between, so it wasn't one long one, and we've seen the footage of that. So he's just making that up. A doublet is not, that's not really a thing, and you don't really have at this level of 7.1 or 2 and then a 7.5. That doesn't happen. That's not a thing to have them back to back with 36 seconds, 38 seconds in between them. But we have to look at well, like I said, the initial curiosity is where does the U.S. empire come into play here? And Trump will spell this out pretty clearly, as he always does. I mean, this guy just says the thing out loud. I mean, but just to be clear, we're talking about 1,700 people right now. That's the latest number, is 1,700 people declared dead, even though there is now 70,000 missing. So the number of death toll has gone up. So has the number of people missing, 70,000. And the damage is at 8 billion plus right now. 8 billion. 8 billion. When you talk about the U.S. pledging 150 million, that is a big FU, a huge FU. That is clearly not enough. I mean, and you add to the fact that we stole all their oil. We stole their president. We have, Maduro's still sitting in a cell in New York with no due process. We haven't lifted any sanctions. We haven't done anything. But Trump's going to tell you that the people in Venezuela are doing really well, and they're dancing in the freaking streets.
Venezuela, we have a great, and by the way, we're helping Venezuela. They had a tremendous earthquake, a lot of people killed, and unbelievable, right in Caracas. And we have a lot of people over there helping, but Venezuela's been fantastic. We've had a great relationship. It was a one-day war. We hit them so hard, and one-day war. Now we've taken out millions of barrels of oil. and we've paid for the war many times over, but just as importantly, they are doing better than they've ever done. They're making more money than they've ever done. They've never made the money that they're making now. And it's really, I mean, outside of what
People are applauding right now. I mean, you got people that can't find each other. The families members are missing. We'll get to the kids in a second. We'll get to the children, the missing children. That's coming. Well, who's dancing in the street? The families that miraculously are alive and found each other. They're dancing? No, they're now homeless. That's best case scenario. Best case scenario is you found all your family members. Your children weren't stolen away and everyone's alive. You're homeless now. You're sleeping in the street. Where's this? I'm missing the part about where the dancing comes into play here.
what happened last night with the terrible, that was terrible what happened. It was a big earthquake, knocked down buildings. But outside, it was really, it's a happy country again. The people are happy. They're dancing in the streets. The people running it are doing a very good job. The United States.
Look at that. Dancing in the street. Well, we're obviously going to look closer at this because when you look at the military opportunity now to sell the oil for less, because now you have this economic collapse that he can take advantage of, and we already stolen the oil, so you can go in there, you can, and there's so many other possibilities of things we can take advantage of that people were ready to take advantage of. And so the timing is very, very interesting here. But let's look at other stuff that also sticks out for us here from Hustle Bitch. They issued a warning 27 minutes before the Venezuela earthquakes. So how do they know? That's weird, right? 27 minutes before the twin earthquakes struck Venezuela, the Solar System Geometry Survey reportedly issued a warning. Then the earthquakes hit. For decades, the public has been told that earthquakes cannot be predicted. How would they know that? There had to be something else going on here. There had to be something else going on here. Well, here's a TikToker who was streaming live and is going to tell us what she saw in real time.
I've been watching this since the earthquake. So this is called ROTI, and TEC stands for Total Electron Content. But it has been there since the earthquake, which is really interesting. Whoa, look, right before our very eyes. Right over Venezuela, which is really interesting. That is called total electron content. So it's heightened agitation, usually caused by lightning or solar flares. But there is a lot of scientific sort of research to indicate that earthquakes can also disturb the ionosphere. So I can absolutely vouch that since those earthquakes in Venezuela, I've been monitoring this, and there has basically been a constant ionospheric disturbance. And as you just saw, right before our eyes in this live, bam, right over Venezuela.
So that was happening before, it was happening after. There's been this picture's been going up, video shots of this same image, and every time you try to get information on this, they say, oh, that's fake, that's been proven fake. Really? Because people said it was before. This was actually probably after. It was after the occurrence. That's why it's night. So there's a whole, like, they tried, there's a deflection mechanism so you don't think that anything is weird here, that this is totally normal. The scientists are coming on TV. They're telling you that this doublet hit. It's real. You know what it's really called? I was with Garland Nixon. He said, we were talking about this the other day on Garland Nixon's show, and he said, this is called a double tap. It's called a double tap. And so there's way too many signs here that something's off here. Here's another thing that came up. There were 17 earthquakes near Area 51 in the same 24-hour period that these two big quakes happened. This actually happened. Check this out.
Saying what happened in Venezuela wasn't an earthquake. It was a warning. They have the tech, and they're starting to test it again.
A sudden burst of seismic activity near one of the world's most secretive military sites is now raising new speculation and triggering conspiracy theories about covert nuclear testing. At least 17 earthquakes have struck near the highly classified Area 51 in Nevada within just 24 hours.
The Air Force has gotten great value out of HAARP in the past. We took over from the Navy and managed it and actually did a number of experiment campaigns up there and have finished our work that we're interested in doing up there. We've moving on to other ways of managing the ionosphere, which the HAARP was really designed to do, was to inject energy into the ionosphere to be able to actually control it. But that work has been completed. The Air Force has maintained the site for other government agencies to use for several years now. And with DARPA completing their project, that's our last government customer that we have in the site.
Wow. So HAARP exists. I don't think anybody says it doesn't. They just are deflecting now what it actually its intentions and its usage are, and also the technology that we've had available for several years, dating back to the 80s. We've had this technology, but let's start with this. As far as we're trying to get down to what HAARP actually does, we're talking about electromagnetic waves that are created in a non-organic way. And you could call this, and this isn't the first time we've seen this in Venezuela. This is an article from 2018 talking about experiments we were doing with this same technology 8 years ago. Here it is. So this is HAARP, and this is the article. So perhaps, so the U.S. is the U.S. implementing the HAARP project in Venezuela. Again, this is from 8 years ago. Perhaps there are a few who have heard about this project, and many others do not know what these acronyms mean. Well, they belong to a mysterious project of the U.S. Air Force. That means, translated into Spanish, right? So we translated this from Spanish as the High Frequency Active Aurora Research Program. At the military installations in Gacona, Alaska, this mysterious project is being developed, consisting of 180 antennas that, working together, act as a single antenna that will emit 1 trillion high-frequency radio waves which penetrate the lower atmosphere and interact with the current of the electrojet Aurelius. So we've known this for a long time. It's electricity floating on the earth. When depositing energy in it, the medium is changing the current and generating waves of low and very low frequency. HAARP intends to bring the electrojet closer to the earth with the aim of harnessing it in a large generating station. But there are those who believe that behind HAARP there is something else hidden, such as strange experiments in weather modification. Here we go. Mind control, and to produce freaking earthquakes. Yes, storms and strong winds, as is now happening in Cuba. Something strange at this time of year. So we've been doing these type of experiments for many, many, many years. And then we have to talk about 2010, right? 3 earthquakes occurred over Honduras, Venezuela, and Haiti, all with a depth of 10 kilometers. Russia and China denounced the existence and use of HAARP by the United States. Southern Command was already alert what would happen in Haiti and immediately deployed 1,300 Marines to the island. Wow, that was quick. The quick action. It's very quick action when these things happen. They get deployed immediately. As noted, a force that they were unable to launch in Afghanistan. The EFE news agency reported that Russia's Northern Fleet suspects that the Haiti earthquake was caused by a U.S. Navy test within the framework of the HAARP project. It says that Moscow and the United States has greatly advanced the status of its earthquake weapons and, according to the report, now employs devices that use a pulse electromagnetic Tesla sonic plasma technology along with shock wave bombs. Other countries, as Mexico, Chile, Ecuador, and China, have been victims of earthquakes that, due to their characteristics, activate the alarms that these have been produced by the use of HAARP project, which does not rule out that the earthquakes that have recently occurred in Venezuela are induced by the aforementioned U.S. project. Even more so, knowing the determination of Uncle Sam to invade our country, and all his attempts have failed. as of then, all of our attempts had failed. We've tried to assassinate Chavez several times. Then he died of cancer, but it really wasn't cancer. And we tried to assassinate Maduro a bunch of times. Now we finally got him locked up. So we have failed several times with Venezuela with the traditional attacks, right? As boycotts and sanctions that affect our economy, they launch themselves in that way, and then enter with their Marines to offer what? Their humanitarian aid, as they did in Haiti. Exactly like that. But this goes all the way back to a clip. Let's take a look at this clip from 1983, which is still on the Discovery Network channel website. They haven't taken it down yet. Check this out. We had this shit back in the 80s.
In 1983, I did radio tomography with 30 watts, looking for oil in the ground. I found 26 oil wells over a 9-state area. 100% of the time was accurate with just 30 watts of power beaming straight into solid rock. HAARP uses 1 billion watts beamed straight into the ionosphere for experiments. Picture these strings on the piano as layers of the earth. Each one has its own frequency. What we used to do is beam radio waves into the ground. It would vibrate any strings that were present in the ground. We might get a sound back like, we'd say, that's natural gas. We might get a sound back like, we say that's crude oil. We were able to identify each frequency. We accomplished this with just 30 watts of radio power. If you do this with 1 billion watts, the vibrations are so violent that the entire piano would shake. In fact, the whole house would shake. In fact, the vibrations could be so severe underground that could even cause an earthquake.
Dr. Agnew experienced the power of ELF waves firsthand back in the 1980s. He was hired by an energy company to locate oil and gas using the same kind of ELF waves at much lower frequencies to carry out his search. It's a process called earth tomography. During one particular incident, Dr. Agnew believes his use of HAARP-like ELF waves accidentally triggered an earthquake.
It was in the spring of 1987 we arrived in Roseburg, Oregon to use our ELF technology to search for oil and gas. Setting up that day, we had a little bit different results than we expected because the instant that we energized it, there was between a 4 and 4.5 on the Richter scale earthquake that occurred. We were so amazed about what seemed to be cause and effect. We get to an area that has a high propensity for earthquakes in an area known as the megathrust of the Pacific Northwest. We turn it on and an earthquake occurs.
Dr. Agnew demonstrates how he may have triggered the quake.
This is a scale model of what the area looked like in Oregon when we scanned for oil and gas in 1987. The strata right here represents the megathrust area underneath the ground. The rock represents a potential energy set up in the ground from a tectonic stress. What we're going to do is introduce ELF waves and demonstrate that it can in fact trigger an earthquake.
Well, there you go. There it is. This is telling us this. And I'm surprised that that clip is still available on Discovery. It's quite fascinating. Quite fascinating. And just to double check on Chavez's claim, you guys from the previous article, he did in fact, before he passed away, this is in 2010. And this is a friend of the show, Wyatt Reed, connected the dots here and say, remember in 2010 when Hugo Chavez warned that the earthquake in Haiti was likely a result of a U.S.-built tectonic weapon? I read that 10,000 U.S. soldiers are arriving. They're occupying Haiti under the cover of a humanitarian disaster. They are playing God. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, it kind of does. And there he is. Back in 2010, tectonic weapon caused Haiti quake. Yes, under testing by the U.S. caused the Haiti earthquake. That's what President Chavez at the time said. Apparently, the media in Venezuela have reported that the earthquake may be associated with the project called HAARP, a system that can generate violent and unexpected changes in climate. There you go. There you go. So what is there's another part of this story. We're talking about the connecting of the dots to the humanitarian aid that goes to these places right on schedule, goes to Haiti. Like you're talking about the Clinton Foundation with all the humanitarian, we got to help the children, all the NGOs that show up, Save the Children this, Hillary Clinton that, Israeli NGO this and that. Yes, they all show up. And what are they doing when they show up? Well, we know a lot more about that now than we did in 2010. That's for damn sure. Here is a brave man reporting from the streets from Venezuela right now, saying that the elites, that's the Epstein class, that's everyone we're talking to you guys about, they've already started trafficking the children from Venezuela. Already have done it. Ready to go.
I was watching videos coming out of Venezuela, and what's going on there is worse than what we can imagine. Now, I don't have all the answers. All I can do is use my platform and my following to raise awareness on this issue, because apparently a lot of the people looking for family members, the police and military aren't allowing them to get to the areas that they need to get to. But the real disturbing thing that's going on is that apparently they are taking traumatized and orphaned children to use for child trafficking, which breaks my heart, obviously, because, well, I mean, how evil can you get? I mean, to use something as horrific as what's happened to then go to the next step and then start taking the children is just a stain on humanity. It's not even humans doing it. These people are evil. They're not even like us, right? But this is what we're dealing with. And on top of that, the police are robbing what's left of the of anything people own out of the rubble. They're just taking stuff, and it's just horrific. Like I say, I don't have all the answers. You know, those people are. I'm very close to Latin America. I live in Mexico, so I know what the people are like, and I just want to share their suffering in the hope that it raises awareness on the issue, because what's going on out there is far worse than any of us can imagine. So please share this.
Yeah, pretty bad. Pretty bad. Here's an actual mother with a missing daughter. Check this one out.
On the left, we also have one of the people who's quite affected. I would like you to first give me your first and last name, please.
I am Noraima Perez, a waitress at the Camurive Clinic, and I am here affected because my 4 children are missing. My daughter Aranza Lopez was taken out alive, but they took her out with a last name that is not hers. Aranza Vergara appears in Social Security. I have looked for her in all the hospitals in Caracas, and she does not appear where they transferred her either. We need international help, and for this to be heard internationally, the children of Vargas are being stolen. The children of Vargas are being stripped of their last names and given other last names to take them away. Why can't I find my daughter in the Perez Carreño Hospital? I went to look for her and I can't find her. All the witnesses here from OP27 tell us she
Wow. So this is a very, very deliberate operation of how you steal children. And there's a massive history of doing this. We know that the Clinton Foundation has been part of this back in Haiti. We know they're showing up there right now, along with Israeli NGOs, Save the Children, all these crappy organizations that pretend to be doing humanitarian aid, and they're ready to go. They're ready to do this. Shadow of Ezra, Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Global Initiative are now active in Venezuela, where children are missing after the massive earthquake. The Clinton Global Initiative's partners are actively deploying humanitarian aid, and we should always do that in quotations, humanitarian aid. The Clinton family has a long history of exploiting children after disasters. The Epstein class, specifically the Clinton family, did this in Haiti during the 2010 disaster. The second I heard that Trump announced America's coming to aid Venezuela, I just knew this was going to happen. Lord have mercy. And we got to throw it in for good measure. It's called Smart Aid. It's an Israeli organization, another NGO, specializing in integrating technology into humanitarian aid. Sunday, they showed up to search and rescue. They got to work right away because, as we know, Israelis, they care about children that are trapped under rubble. Oh, wait, sorry. They don't have any history of caring about that. My bad. So there we are. And what we need to be doing, not just as journalists, independent journalists, I'm not just talking to our coworkers and our colleagues I'm talking to you guys. We all have to think this way. The second these things happen, we don't wait. We don't wait and see. There's no waiting and seeing. We act immediately. We ask questions immediately. We talk about HAARP. We talk about child trafficking. We do it absolutely immediately. We don't freaking wait. What is the excuse for waiting? What did they tell us? What did we buy? What bullshit did we buy? We were told that we were hurting the victims, hurting the families. It's too soon. They need time. You're going to mess things up. Think about that. Really think about that. We're going to mess things up. What is the worst that could happen? What? We're wrong about the child trafficking? We're wrong about HAARP? What damage did we actually do? Nothing. That's the worst thing. And that would be great. I wish we were wrong about this. I hope we were wrong about this. If we are wrong about this, that means less people are being intentionally killed. And you can chalk it up to natural shit happens. Oh, well, lightning happened to strike and kill my whole family. And my children happened to go missing. And their last names got changed in the process. But God works in mysterious ways. That would be best case scenario, that we were wrong. Are we going to fall for that anymore? No. Hell freaking no. The onus is on them to prove that this was natural. The onus is on them to prove that nothing shady is going on. Why is it on them? Because they have struck out every single freaking time. Conspiracy theorists, we are batting a freaking 1,000 right now. And there's no trophy or prize ceremony coming. We don't need it. We don't want it. We just want to know that we're doing it right. And the next time, and here we go. This is the next time. This is the next. We had Lahaina fires. We had the LA fires. We don't wait. We don't wait. We ask the questions. And we're probably going to be right. We probably are right. But if we were wrong, we didn't hurt anyone. If we don't ask questions, we can hurt a lot of people if we keep silent and we stay compliant and we say, let's just wait and see. Then we're actually hurting people. Like the woman who said, what happened to my freaking children? Why did this happen? Who's coming to help? Who's going to say something about it? Who's going to ask the right question? Well, we're going to do that. We're going to ask the right question.